All right, so readme.md is the name of the file. It's a Markdown file extension. In this video, we'll talk a little bit about Markdown itself, the syntax, and then in the next video, I'll make a README. So if you just want to see making a README, go ahead and skip this if you already know Markdown. So as I mentioned, Markdown is this tool that generates markup. This is the official project documentation. It's pretty thin. It's very simple, I guess. It says Markdown is text to HTML conversion tool for web writers. It allows you to write an easy to read, easy to write plain text format and then convert it to structurally valid XHTML or HTML. So for us, the benefit is that we can write this very succinct, hopefully easy to write and remember syntax that will then turn into HTML, and specifically GitHub will turn it into HTML for us. If we take a look at, let's see, one of these READMEs, like this space one here, let's just go to the actual file, spacey, here's README. This is what GitHub shows me, right? There's a lot of stuff here. I mean, all that text has to be written no matter what, but how would you indicate, how would you make code blocks or a table, as you can see, like this table here and all these links? If you know HTML, great, you can do that, but it still takes a lot of work. It's a lot of writing and additional syntax and HTML elements. So if we actually look at the raw Markdown, so this is the rendered, but this is the raw Markdown, it's a lot lighter weight. So it's still a lot of text because it's a long README. But if you take a close look, we'll see things like hash symbols or octothorpes, stars or asterisks. This is how you make things bolded. Here's how you make a heading, those not ampersands, the hash signs again. Here's how you make a table. Here's how you make links. So this syntax is then read by GitHub and displayed as the output HTML that is generated by Markdown. So Markdown is not specific to GitHub. People use Markdown all over the place. There are tools that allow you to view Markdown and render it yourself. There's extensions for VS Code. There are standalone applications that are just Markdown. And the one that I'll be using just in this video is this Markdown It demo. I'll include a link for it. So on the left, we can see some raw Markdown, and on the right is the generated HTML. So I can just show some very quick examples. To make headings, as you can see here, there are 6 levels of headings, just like in HTML. If you're familiar with HTML, we have 6 elements for headings, H1 down to H6. So to make the main heading on a page, of which there should usually just be one, we use a single hash sign, and then a space, and then some text. How about, I am a heading? And then you can see our automatically generated output over here. So this is HTML that Markdown makes for us. This is the HTML it made for me. So instead of having to write that or all of this, we can just write this. It's more compact and it's easier for most people to write. Even if there's a bit of a learning curve at the beginning, you just have to remember, what is the syntax to make a heading? All right, so one common pitfall is not putting spaces there. So that is no longer a heading. We need that space. And then if we have, 2, I won't show all 6, but if we have 2 hash signs versus 3, it's a smaller heading, and 3 is even smaller, all the way down to 6 is the smallest that we can get. Okay, so that's how we can make headings. You can make horizontal rules, those lines going across like this. I don't use that very often. And like this, I guess, 3 asterisks. There are a whole bunch of other things you can do. You can make these different symbols somewhat easily. I never remember this though. But what I do use somewhat frequently is making text bolded. So using asterisks, I'll type something like, hello there, everyone. And if I want to bold something, like I'll bold the word hello. I don't know why. I use 2 asterisks on either side. And you can see it is bolded. If I instead do 1 star on something on either side, it becomes italicized. So bold is 2 stars, 1 star or asterisk around something makes it italics. You can do the same thing to make something strike through using 2 tildes. Don't really do that myself. Now something I do pretty frequently is make block quotes. So block quotes start with a greater than sign, and they look like this right here. So I'll show a demo. Let's see. I'm trying to make this as big as I can. hopefully this doesn't show up too small on the screen that you're watching this on. I am a block quote. There we are. It turns into this block quote that's being rendered for me. And I can have multiple lines. Right? If I just wrap over to the next line, it still is considered part of that same line, the same block quote. So that is important when we're working with Markdown. It considers just a chunk of text like this to be one paragraph. And if I want spacing, I don't just hit return like that. I have to have an actual empty line between them to generate 2 paragraphs. Additionally, we can make lists. So you can make an unordered list. Here they're showing doing it with plus signs. Usually I actually make my list like this with an asterisk. So first, and then another asterisk, seconds, right? That's how I can make a bulleted list, as you see there. So you can use a plus sign, a dash, or an asterisk to do that. And then you can make sub lists by indenting 2 spaces. So I could do an example of that. We indent 2 spaces and then another star, sub list. And you can see it is nested. It's further nested inside of that bullet. You can make ordered lists using numbers. I won't show you that, but you can see it here. And a really common important one is to make code blocks. So if you want a block of code, you can, first of all, just highlight a single line or a single phrase, or I guess a single line is what you would say, using these backtick characters. So we can put those backticks around like this word code, and you can see it's rendered this way. So I can do that on indented as an example. Those backticks, that key is usually located above the tab key on the left of a keyboard. And then you can also do blocks of code like this here, or this block here, by wrapping some code. So I'll just, I don't know, I'll type some random thing here, console.log hello, and then I'll duplicate that and just do 2 lines of code. So that's JavaScript. And if I wrap it with 3 backticks above and below, it turns into a block of code. And I can even add syntax highlighting if I use, like, this is JavaScript. So if I specify JS, now it's syntax highlighted as JavaScript. So this is just a very quick crash course in Markdown. It's not a huge topic, but we could spend a lot more time talking about the nuances of syntax highlighting and what languages are supported. Here's how you make tables. Personally, I find it a pain to make tables. In general, I don't use them that frequently in my READMEs, but anytime I do, I just copy from the docs. Now, links often trip students up. If you've ever worked on Reddit, by the way, if you've ever written Reddit comments, I forgot to mention this, that they use Markdown, or at least they used to. I think they still do. So to make a link, you can write the text of a link inside of square brackets, like, whoops, try and make this clear where I'm typing, like this, hello there, click me, and then immediately afterwards, we have parentheses, and then some link, like www.google.com. There we go. Now it has HTTP. And if I try and click on that, let's see, does it indeed take me to Google? Yes, it does. All right, so that's the basics of links. Then we have images. It's the same thing, except we add an exclamation point in front. So this is the URL to access that image. And then this would be the alternate text if that image doesn't load, or if they're using a screen reader to read this alt text. So let's see, what else is there? There's some stuff around emojis, superscript, subscript, there's footnotes, there's definition lists, abbreviations, there's a lot more. And on GitHub, there's even some additional functionality, but that's just a quick crash course. We're not going to spend a lot of time making fancy READMEs, but you obviously can. As you see here, I mean, this is a table. It's got a bunch of emojis. In the table, there are links, and they're bolded even. There's a lot of stuff going on in each one of these, right? We've got lists, headings, horizontal rules, as you can see that line. Well, hopefully it shows up on the screencast. It's a little delicate. So there's a lot of stuff. Code blocks, syntax highlighted code blocks. So we saw basically how we do this. We just would have to put all those pieces together. And in the next video, I'll show the process of making a README, pushing it up, and writing some basic Markdown.